G'day team, alrighty. In this video we're going to go over just kind of the fundamentals of walls and how they work. Hopefully you should leave this with a fairly functional understanding of how to put some walls together in Revit. So generally when you start a project, the first thing you're going to do is put some walls in. So it's actually very important how you put those walls in, and I will explain how the wall tool actually kind of works and the things to look out for. So if we press the button or the hotkey or whatever you've got set up, first thing is you're going to have this little tiny ribbon pop up underneath here. So that's initially going to set the height the wall's going to go. So you can either set it to go depth or height, but generally you're going to go height. Let's say it's going to go to, if we're drawing this on level 0 and we want it to go up to level 1, then we'd go level 1. Now the location line, this is something that is 100% worth explaining and understanding, because if walls are drawn in incorrectly initially, it can be difficult to, or not difficult, but there's a bit involved in changing it after the fact. So wall center line. I guess if we backstep and say, what are we actually drawing when we draw a wall? What we're drawing is a line, and that line has a bunch of height and like layers attached to it. So at the moment, we've just got the basic, a 90mm stud wall, which is like a very common wall size here in Australia. And all we're gonna do is just draw a line from one point to another. So you can see that little blue like blue dashy line in the middle there. I mean, it's kind of the control point. Essentially it is, the location line. If you're changing this wall from one type to another, that location line is where the it's kind of like what defines where the wall is going to be or stay. I'll demonstrate this in a second. All right, so let's draw a box instead of just a straight line. And then we will dimension the box. Okay, so that's 3790. If we were to set the location line of these walls to be the interior face, and we can check that to see that, yep, so that blue dot's on the inside there, that's on the inside there, this is on the inside. So if we were to change this wall from one type to another, so let's change it from this to, say, a 240 brick veneer wall, the outside dimension got bigger, but the interior dimension, because that's where that witness line or the location line is set, did not change size. Does that make sense? Because I hope it does. All right, so say we were to draw just a very basic layout, and we're gonna set it to exterior, and we're gonna draw these walls as exterior, and then this one as interior. Now, if we got some feedback on this layout and said, oh, it's actually meant to be brick veneer, and we went to change that, see how this wall is drawn in backwards? So the brick veneer is on the inside, which is not where it's supposed to be. So that highlights and illustrates the point that when drawing walls in, the location line is really your first port of call of where you're actually going to be drawing this line and where the justification of it is going to lie. So it's just something to really just pay attention to, because like I said, this is like a very, very basic concept. But if this was a 90mm stud wall and you've got full working drawings done on this project, and then you had to go through after that's already put 10 hours of work into it and then change it to, it's not the absolute end of the world, but it's just good practice to just draw these things in properly the first time around. There's nothing, it doesn't hurt to be polite, I guess you could say. Okay, so we've covered the location line. We understand that, you know, this brick veneer, this is the external face of the wall. So if we have our location line on the exterior finished face, then that location line should be on, you know, that outside of the brickwork. And this all looks perfectly fine in plan, but the other thing that we haven't really discussed yet is what these layers actually are. And what they are is they're controlled in type. And then if you go to the structure of the wall, go to edit, this is where those layers are controlled. So you can see that on the exterior side, we have brick, which is 110 mil thick, and then we have a thermal / air, which is just like a layer, which is just a cavity. So that's 40 mil thick. And then you have a core boundary, and then the actual structure, the load bearing part of the wall, which would be the stud, is within the core boundary. So this core boundary, this is extremely important for putting roofs together, but I will discuss that in the roof video, but that's extremely important to know. Okay, so we've gone through, walls have layers. They're kind of like ogres and onions. The layers dictate where the location line is, and the location line is the line that you are drawing when you place the wall. And this is just a like in plan version. So if we were to cut a section, and then up the detail level here, now we can see that the wall has some layers which we can additionally modify in here. So say we want the stud to go to this height, but then we want to be able to drag the brickwork down or up. Now, the reason that we can't do that at the moment is because those layers are locked in the type edit. So we go back into here, we change this view to, sorry, it should be in section. So if it's in floor plan, change it to section, go edit. Now we want to zoom in on the brickwork here, and then we click modify. I think it's click modify. Either way, you want to get this. It's really hard to see, but this really faint little blue line down here, and then we want to unlock. Yeah, we want to click on that padlock and then unlock it, and then we want to do the same thing up the top as well. So we've unlocked the brickwork. We additionally want to unlock this cavity layer as well. Otherwise, when we drop the brickwork down, that's going to stay up at that height. It's a bit hard to click for some reason, so bear with me. Okay, let's go OK, apply and OK. All right, now we've got these little control points here, so we can drag the top of the brickwork down. Additionally, over in the properties over here, you can see the base extension distance and the top extension distance. So what the extension distance thing means essentially is the non-core layers, or the layers which we've unlocked in that previous edit type thing. So if we wanted all the top extension distance for all of these walls to be, like -200, for example, that's easy enough. Same deal here. If you're putting a slab rebate, or it's like a rebated slab edge in, and you need all of the brickwork to run down 350 mil or whatever your pad depth is, that can be done like so. So easy enough to change the layers here, and I have done this in a brand new kind of untouched project. I just very quickly put these two wall types together, but as you can see, there's nothing particularly special about how this is all put together. It's just for a demonstration, really. Little bit of bonus content that I could provide here is you can actually have sweeps built in to the wall itself. So If we wanted to put some skirting boards on our 90mm stud wall, you'd go to Edit Type, over to Edit, and then you click down here in Sweeps. As you can see, it says Modify Vertical Structure is in Section Preview Only. So we'll go to Sweeps. There's nothing loaded in, so we'll go Add. It's by default going to add a just the default profile, but I think if we've got a tiny fascia, that should be, yep, that should do. Now, the material doesn't particularly matter, but let's have a play with this and then set up these sweeps in here. So let's just see where that puts that. Okay, so you can see that that's put it below the bottom of the wall, so that's not ideal. I know it's 140mm deep, so let's go plus 140 and go apply. All right, sweet, perfect. So that's applied it there. If we wanted to add another one on the exterior side, you'd go Add, same deal, Profile, Fascia, 19140. Make it 150mm up from the base and then put it on the interior side. Easy peasy. So this can be done for cornices, some little architraves, skirting boards, whatever you want really, and these are going to apply, you know, they're going to be visible in all of your views like so, and in 3D as well. But it's just an example. All right, lastly, if we wanted this wall to have a particularly fancy shape or outline, you can go Edit Profile up here, and then rather than changing the wall in plan, which is what we've been doing over in the floor plans, this is going to change it in elevation. So in here, you know, you can cut some holes out of it, you can really, you know, go to town on it with the Edit Profile tool. You can always reset the profile if need be. If we had, say we had something above this structure, let's say we've got a floor up here and we're going to put a slope arrow on it, and then don't worry about this too much because I'm just using this as an example of this next tool, which is going to be about attaching and detaching the top bases. So say that's a hypothetical roof or floor or whatever, just a mass. If we wanted to attach the tops of these walls to this, you'd use the attach top base function. Essentially, just all of the information here is the same. It's still going up to level 1, and it's doesn't have a particular top, like, you know, top offset or top extension distance, but it is attached to the underside of this roof or floor or whatever you've got going on up here, and it's, you know, it's clever. It's gonna follow it wherever it goes, except when it doesn't actually hit the target like we see here. Then it's going to just say, oh well, I'm just going to revert back to my natural state. You can also detach the top base, so you can say, oh, don't have any association with that anymore, and then this can do whatever it wants, and these walls are not going to be affected at all. Okay, so that's a pretty basic but thorough overview of how walls work. You'll notice that I haven't got into either stacked walls or curtain walls. I'll do curtain walls specifically in their own video because they are, I mean, they're walls, but they really don't function in the same way as this normal kind of wall does. But yeah, we'll get there eventually. But yeah, I hope you got something out of this. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.